break, we were continuing our discussion of CIREA, which the website is www.cireia.org, and that stands for the Central Indiana Real Estate Investors Association. We're here with Gary Hippensteel, the president, and Catherine Ransberg, who is the legal affairs chair for CIREA. And for $160 a year, you can participate in the monthly meetings, and those are held when and where, Gary?
The monthly meetings are held the first Thursday of every month at the Monon Center in Carmel. It's a brand new venue for us, and also after 24 years of meeting the second Tuesday of every month, it's been a challenge to get everyone on the same page to where we're now meeting the first Thursday of every month.
Okay, and you were also mentioning during the break that you have several hundred members as well as 36 vendors. And what
Yes.
kind of respective expertise do those vendors have?
We have all of our vendors cover every aspect of servicing the real estate industry or providing services for our members who are real estate business owners. We have vendors from property management companies to contractors to carpet cleaning to banking institutions, to insurance, and everything else in between, who represents our vendors.
So it's almost like an Angie's List of people that you've screened or that you've vetted and that you let your members meet and have access to a network with, correct?
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Now, what if I'm a beginning real estate investor and I'm thinking, you know, this is interesting, I'd love to show up at one of these events, I don't want to get sold, I just want to learn, what kind of assurances would you give me about what I would find when I walk into a meeting?
Well, by meeting at the Monon Center, our meetings are purely educational. There is no upselling of anything, there's no selling of any product, no selling of any speaker's product or anything like that. In fact, with our contract with Monon, we're not even allowed to do that sort of thing. So at a general monthly meeting, our first meeting is from 6 to 6:45, where we'll bring a speaker in to talk on a topic that's very broad, very general, that will also segue then into our main meeting speaker that will go from approximately 7:30 to 9 o'clock then.
Okay, and the next meeting then will be October 11th, correct?
October 4th.
I'm sorry, the first Thursday, yeah. I gotta get that.
These calendars are tricky.
I know, man. It's a new thing for me. I'm working with it. That's what happens when you're homeschooled. So, October 4th is the next meeting, and who is speaking at that meeting?
On October 4th, we're having John Heyer come speak at our meeting. John is an attorney and CPA, tax preparer from Ohio. Who works with real estate investors and real estate entrepreneurs in helping do business entity structuring and the importance of tax structuring and even doing tax things like self-directed IRAs and things like that. But how to prepare your business for tax season and how to do taxes in an entity.
Now, can investors who want to be involved with CIREA register online?
Yes, they can.
And they can pay online?
Yes, they can.
And that's, I think we mentioned, $160 a year.
Yes.
They can also pay monthly, though, right?
Yes, and they can pay monthly. And if you're just wanting to try us out to see if real estate is something that you want to do, we have what is called Test Drive CIREA, which is a trial membership for $20, where you can come try us out for 30 days, come to a general meeting, and go to as many of our subgroups as you'd like.
And one of the things I like, Gary, we were talking about during the break, those subgroups, and you touched on it a second ago, those subgroups, they are people who are actually doing this business. So like your rehabbing subgroup, these folks are rehabbing homes day in, day out, a lot of them full-time, and so somebody just getting into investing in real estate can get knowledge from guys who are actually doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't emphasize enough how different your mission is from a conventional for-profit. There are literally real estate education companies that are publicly traded, and their whole goal is to sell you a lot of the same content that you're going to get at a CIREA meeting, if not some of the exact same content, for up to 100 times what you would pay for an annual membership. I have met investors that spent $150,000 of their money for an education on real estate before they did their first deal. Now, I've met those same investors who have met millions of dollars, which is why those who have made that. which is why those companies continue to stay in business, because people do make money from, some people psychologically need to spend a lot of money to put a value on something because otherwise they won't take action.
Right.
But I just want to emphasize to those people listening that don't think because it's only $160 a year that there's not an incredible amount of value, because you're set up as a nonprofit.
That is correct. That is correct. We do bring in some of those outside speakers. Some of those educational companies do come and speak to our SIREA members. We'll set aside a Saturday. What I think is important to remember is with using some national speakers, some other outside companies that help provide education, is that many times they will offer a product that might be the very thing that you need to help run your business. Because when you look at it, there's only so many hours in a day, and you have to know how much is your time worth. Do you have the 30 hours to take to make that cog for your business or for your business systems versus going to a seminar, going to one of these Saturday events and spend the $800, $900, maybe $10,000 for the product, and in the long run, take it to your attorney, get it Indiana certified, get it, everything that you need to help do business in Indiana. But I think the important thing to remember is there is value there. You just have to understand what your business needs are and see if what you're going to buy or what we would bring in as a speaker is something that would benefit your business and your education.
Yeah, that's a great point.
One of the things too and I was naive when I first started investing. One of the things I liked about real estate investing was, although it does have a low barrier to entry, like we talked about, I like to do things on my own, and I naively believe that I could operate in Indianapolis without networking, without working with other investors, and that is 100% wrong. And your business is so much better off if you're networking with the investors in your community. They're going to help you find deals. They're going to help you avoid problems. The best business that I do is with Aaron, and who technically is a competitor, because sometimes we're buying properties against each other, but we also form partnerships. So
Exactly.
That's what I love about SIREA is you've got a lot of guys who are actually doing business.
Yeah.
You're doing real estate business that can help you in your business.
Right. One of the things that I tell beginning people who want to learn how to do real estate as a business is don't look at other people as your competition, because more than likely they're going to be somebody that could be a potential business funding partner for you, or they might be that strategic relationship where you need to outsource something because you don't have time to do it or you don't have the skill set to do it. So what we're doing in SIREA is really not only promoting how to do real estate as a business, but how to look for strategic relationships, joint venture with people, and understand that there's plenty out there for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect segue into our discussion with you, Catherine, because you are an attorney. You do a lot of litigation as it relates to real estate. You work with a lot of green, rookie, new investors. You also work with savvy investors.
That's a very diplomatic way to describe them.
And I always say that I never skimp on my accountant, my attorneys, my insurance, and on toilet paper. Those are
Or
the
anniversary presents, right?
Those are the four
Anniversary present.
Oh no, I just let her choose those and leave the catalog open. But why don't you, because you, in your capacity as the legal affairs chair for SIREA, you meet a lot of new investors and you do a lot of work with them. Why don't you maybe start us off with some of the most common questions that you get from a new investor?
The most common question I get is, I have to be in court next week. Can you represent me? And I would love to have that conversation where someone comes up to me and says, I'm considering becoming a real estate investor. Specifically, I'm thinking about buying some rental properties, and I've never done it before. And I was hoping that I could talk to you about making sure my documents are set up correctly. What do I need to do to protect myself and to protect my tenants? I've never had that conversation, not one single time. I would probably faint if somebody came up and gave it to me, because I spoke in jest, but it really is often, I would say most of my clients that I have met mid-crisis.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, and they have called me because they have a tenant that they need to have evicted, or they're being sued by a tenant. The bulk of my practice is focused on landlord-tenant issues. And or they are trying to get out of a judgment or something. So I think the biggest issue that I run into I've run into with my clients, and I would recommend, is that there are certain things that you should do if you're wanting to go into this business. The first thing is, it's not for the faint of heart by anybody. If you're going to freak out the first time somebody is late on their rent, or they skip out in the middle of the night, or they trash your property, you need to not be in this business, because that will eventually happen to you. Now, assuming you've jumped all those hurdles, some of the basic things, and they sound very basic, but it is amazing how many people don't do these things. Use an application when you are screening for tenants. I can't tell you how many people who have called me because they have a tenant that they are trying to deal with, and I ask for an application, and they say, I don't use applications because I'm a really good judge of character. That's not a good business practice.
Yeah, applications are important. Some of just the basic documents and paperwork. Now, are those things that you can provide for investors?
Yes, and yeah, they are very good things. Get a good lease. You can get, a lease from Office Depot is better than no lease at all, but I would recommend working with an attorney or with your property management company. Will generally have a very good, most good property management companies will have good leases, and will have other documents like the 45-day letter, which most people don't know what that is, but if you've ever been in court with a landlord-tenant issue,
you know what it is. Well, let's do this, because we're going to take a quick break, but in the next segment, I want you to marinate on this question and answer it for the audience. Is it legal to evict a tenant by removing the doors and toilets for maintenance? My name is Aaron Adams. You're listening to Real Estate Tips and Tricks on News Talk 1430 WXNT.